Good afternoon, Educator Rising family. We are so excited to have you with us tonight.
Hey, it's Shay here. We are so glad you could all join us tonight. Hey, Lexi, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling great, Shay. I'm so excited for tonight and everything that we'll go over with our Ed Rising family. Shar, how's it going down south?
Going great, Lexi. With this being our first time doing an event like this, my excitement is certainly all over the place. But how about we get started? Journey, you can kick us off for tonight's events.
I'd be honored to, Shartavius. Welcome to all of our Educator Rising family to the first ever national chapter meeting hosted by us, your 2024-2025 National Officer Team. Let's do a quick roll call before we get started. Type in where you're tuning in from so that we can see who's with us today. I'm tuning in straight from Texas. Shartavius, where are you tuning in from?
I'm tuning in from the deep south state of Mississippi.
What about you, Shay?
Right home from Louisiana.
And Lexi? Well, Lexi's tuning in from Ohio. It's great to see that we have our family with us nationwide. Before we get started, I want to state the purpose of our virtual chapter meetings, so you get an idea of what tonight will look like. This year, we wanted to find ways to be more engaged with our entire membership and empower all of you as future leaders. We'll be hosting these meetings virtually every other month and hope you can join us at every single one of them. So whether you're with your local chapter right now or you're tuning in from your bedroom, get ready for a jam-packed evening of greatness. Shay, could you give us the breakdown of tonight?
Of course, first we'll get into our own brief introductions and then we'll do a little small icebreaker. After that, we'll share some very important announcements and dates from our national office. Then we'll go over to presenting you a short professional development session. Be sure to take notes. And after that, we'll close with a guest speaker and end of the night. First, let's start off with some intros.
Hi, everyone. My name is Shartavius Edwards, and I'm from the state of Mississippi. I'm your National VP of Service and will be attending Meridian Community College. And one fun fact about me is I like blueberries.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lexi. I'm from the state of Ohio, and I'm your National Vice President of Engagement. I attend Ohio University, and a fun fact about me is that I'm a swim instructor.
Hey, my name is Shayana Johnson, and I am from the state of Louisiana. I am your National Vice President of Communications, attending Bossier Parish Community College. And a fun fact about me is I am a pre-K3, pre-K4 paraprofessional.
Hi, everyone. My name is Journey Harris, and I'm from the great state of Texas. I'm your national president, and I attend Tarleton State University. A fun fact about me is that I used to be a dancer in high school, and I spent last year teaching dance to little kids, and now I strive to be a dance coach someday.
Now that we've all formally introduced ourselves, let's do a quick icebreaker. Now, I'm all about making sure our icebreakers and our questions are education related. So when you see this question, type your answer in the chat box so we can see what you have to say. If you could be a crayon out of a Crayola box, what color would you be? Me personally, I would be Robin's Egg Blue. Journey, what color would you be?
Well, Lexi, I think I would have to choose yellow. I just love all things bright and colorful, and I just feel like yellow is just so warm, and summer's my favorite season, so I think that yellow really represents summer.
Nice. I see some purple. I like that. Thank you all for sharing with us. I'm going to pass it on to Shartavius, who is going to share some announcements.
Thanks for that icebreaker, Lexi. Here are some quick announcements from the South for you all. This year, we'll be discontinuing the impromptu speaking competition. However, we will still have multiple speaking competitions. We'll have to have multiple speaking competitions such as public speaking, creative lecture, and educator rising moments. All competitions now have a pre-scored component, meaning before you head off to a national conference to compete, You must upload and submit the required supplemental documents pertaining to your competition. More details can be found in your Pacific competition guidelines. Specifically, this year, inside of our program competition now includes wording that the strategy of what you're presenting had to have been implemented no earlier than 2023. Also, the interactive bulletin board contest has now been split into 2 contests: elementary classroom bulletin board and middle and high school classroom bulletin board. If you have any questions about these changes, please email info@educatorsrising.org or check out the membership portal for specific details and resources. I'll now hand over to Shay, who will be sharing some important dates.
Thank you, Shar, for those updates. I'm super excited to see the variety of interactive bulletin boards in Orlando this year. Here are some important deadlines and dates coming soon. First, the fall membership deadline is November 1st. The call for conference breakout sessions proposal will open on November 18th and on January 2nd of 2025. The PDK Foundation Scholarship and Student Officer applications officially opens. We hope to see many of you apply to these great opportunities as the dates get closer. Now I'll pass it on to Journey, who will start us off with a short professional development.
Thank you for those updates, Shay. Today, we are going to be talking about goal setting. Having strong goal-setting strategies for yourself will take you a long way in high school, college, and even as a teacher. For our objective today, we will be able to develop and achieve clear goals by adapting the Big Rock, Little Rock analogy. If you've heard of this analogy, I'd love to see a big thumbs up in the chat. Lexi, do you mind sharing with everyone what this is all about?
Of course. When your life sometimes feels overwhelming or you have a lot of stuff on your plate, which I can certainly understand as a college student, it's important to know what the big rocks, little rocks, and the sand are in your life. But the real question is, how do you prioritize your life with rocks? Question to everyone out there. If you placed all of the sand and the little rocks in the jar first, what would happen? What would happen to the big rocks? Let me know what you think in the chat box. Shay, what do you think would happen?
I think there would be no room.
As we may have figured out, if you fill in the jar with sand and little rocks first, you won't have any space for the big rocks. Look at all the space in the jar and how the big rocks are overflowing. But what do these rocks even mean in our lives? Well, setting goals for yourself is important to understand that the big rocks in our lives are the highest priority projects and tasks. The little rocks are urgent, or somewhat important projects and tasks. And finally, the sand is for not so important projects and tasks. What does it look like? Well, the big rocks in our lives could be planning for a community service project or working on your competition. The little rocks could be posting on social media, going to chapter, or going to class. And finally, your sand could like cleaning your Google Drive and email and completing daily tasks, or even finding a new coffee shop. By knowing what your rocks are, it can help you decide what you need to prioritize in the moment. So now, I'd like to get some of your input. What are some of the big rocks, little rocks, and sand in your life? Let us know in the chat. Lexi, what are some big rocks, little rocks, and sand in your life?
Yeah, the big rocks in my life are definitely right now my college assignments. That's a tough one. The little rocks are, taking care of myself, my social life. And then the sand is definitely, cleaning out my inbox and organizing my life in that way.
I hope you all learned something from this. We're now going to move on to our final portion for tonight, which is a guest speaker. This go-round will be the guest speaker sharing our Educators Rising moment. I'm going to pass it to Journey, who will share her Ed Rising moment and answer some questions.
Hi, everyone. I'm so honored to get to be here tonight to share my Ed Rising moments with you. As a reminder, my name is Journey Harris, and I'm your National Student President. I'm a sophomore at Tarleton State University, and I'm a future educator. Today, I would like to start by telling you a story. The story took place one evening during the summer after my third grade year. I was spending some time with my puzzle-loving grandmother, and on this particular evening, I decided too that I also loved puzzles, and I just had to do one for myself. So we set off to the store where I picked out the most wonderful puzzle that I had ever laid my eyes on. It was the Magic Kingdom, surrounded by flowers, and in the sky were fireworks. And around the kingdom stood every Disney character that you could even think of. My grandmother tried to convince me, Journey, 1,000 pieces is quite a lot for a little girl like you. But I was sure. So for the next few weeks, I worked on my puzzle every chance I got. I lined out the edges, filled in the corners, and strategically placed piece after piece until one Sunday afternoon I was just a few pieces away. Except, I'm sure you can see where this is going, because as I approached the final pieces, it became very apparent to me that Mickey Mouse's left ear was missing. I searched and searched, but never found it, and my perfect Magic Kingdom puzzle was never complete. And on that day, as an almost fourth grader, I decided that I hated puzzles. Now, fast forward almost a decade, I'm an education major, and I stand here with a different perspective that I want to challenge you to see. Teachers are like the family society gives you. A family is meant to be nurturing and loving. They are there to support you and be there for you. They often become your biggest cheerleaders and encourage you to accomplish your dreams. For me, and for many, teachers do the same. This became clear to me as I noticed my best friend who lost her mother found comfort in a teacher who could offer her a listening ear and provide her with sympathy. I took note as a first grader in my mentor teacher's class was struggling academically. I watched as she fought for the growth of that student. In witnessing these things, I began to realize that my fifth grade teacher once showed me patience and compassion, and my dance coach in high school showed me love and encouraged me to do my very best, even when I didn't believe in myself. I began to recall time after time when a teacher presented qualities that a family member would. And I noticed a special idea. I realized that every child represents a puzzle, and the teachers represent the pieces. I started to look into my own story deeper, and I began to see all of the pieces that made up my puzzle. Pieces like the one assistant principal who gave me a high five every single day of high school, or the pre-K teacher who still keeps in touch. I was able to notice my pieces day after day until one day I was sitting in an arena, surrounded by my classmates, wearing a weird-looking hat. Like a flash of light, my senior year had come and gone, and my puzzle was complete. This became clear to me as I followed my teacher out of the arena of graduation. I stood beside her, waiting to see her next move, and she looked at me with a grin. She said, "You're done, honey. It's all on you now." And at that moment, I knew that I had found Mickey Mouse's left ear, my missing piece. She was the most absolute best teacher that I'd ever met. She was my missing piece. She somehow had a way of loving me so hard that I felt like she was constantly hugging me. She cheered me on in competition as well as holding me accountable in school. She was the first person to know if I was upset and the last person to leave my side. She gave me a shoulder to cry on my worst days and someone to laugh with on the best. She wrote me card after card of encouraging words. She was the first person to hug me after walking the stage and the loudest in the crowd. She shows me that she cares about me just by simply being there. But I'm not the only one. She loves all of her students like they're her own, and she will fight for their success on any day of the week. She is truly remarkable. Sometimes here at college, when I mention that I'm majoring in education, people laugh or smirk. Why would you do that? They ask. And for a long time, I wondered the same thing. Why, out of the estimated 1.5 billion jobs in the world, did my heart fall into the classroom? It wasn't until that night at graduation that I truly knew. The truth is, I want to be the piece to the perfect puzzle. I want to love kids and be there for them. I want to write encouraging cards. I want to cheer students on. I want to scream at their graduation and give them hugs. I want to make a difference. I want to be remarkable. I want to be just like my teacher was for me. And in the end, if I become even a fraction of the teacher that she is, I'm confident in saying that I will change lives. That's all I could hope for. Thank you. So that is my moment speech. And now I asked, like 2 days ago, I asked you guys to ask me a question on Instagram. And although I wish I could answer all of them, I picked 3 of those questions to answer. The first one is, what has been your your favorite thing that you've been able to do as national president and in Ed Rising in general? So I'm actually going to answer this in 2 parts. My favorite thing that I've been able to do as national president was not too long ago, we all 4 of us officers flew out to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and we got to meet Miguel Cardona, who is the Secretary of Education for the US. He was on a bus tour and we got to be a part of one of the stops. It was super special to me. I got to see my fellow officers and bond with them, but also just experience what an amazing, I can't even put it into words. It was just so amazing. But then just in Ed Rising in general, even before I became a leader in Ed Rising, it seems a little silly, but my first in-person national trip was to DC 3 years ago, and was I was rooming with a girl that I didn't know very well. And on that trip, she became my best friend. Her name is Ivy Grace. We had like thousands of sprites, and that's how we became best friends. So that holds a very special piece of my heart. For my next question, it says, if you had to choose a movie character to become, who would it be and why? This is not a hard question for me to answer. My favorite movie in the entire world is Matilda. So, as you can probably guess, if you've seen Matilda, I chose Miss Honey. Miss Honey is such a sweet teacher in the movie, and she just really embodies the type of teacher that I want to be someday. And lastly, what have you competed in the past, and are you competing this year? I've actually competed quite a few times. I've competed 5 years, going on 6 now. I've competed in interactive bulletin board, creative lecture, public speaking, impromptu speaking, chapter yearbook, and a few other things. But this year I am competing. I'm competing in public speaking and interactive bulletin board. Last year I competed in creative lecture and I actually won the collegiate division. So I'm super excited about this year and to see what it holds. Now I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Shay, who's now going to share her story with us.
Hello, everyone. My story kind of begins in what grade was I? I want to say the 2nd grade. I had an amazing teacher named Miss Nikki LaFleur, and back in elementary, I was not I wasn't where I needed to be. I was diagnosed with dyslexic. I could not understand. I could not comprehend. I had a very terrible stutter, and school was hard. I hated it, and so she was the person who kind of crossed over the line and helped me. She gathered books, different writing instruments. She got CDs with music and different activities. She even used building blocks. Why? I have no idea. But she was my teacher who just really made me love school, who made me understand, who was able to just help me see the world as it is. And so why I want to go into education and why I'm in education is just to simply give back to what education gave me, because now I get to do that with my little babies, and it's absolutely phenomenal. And of course, along the way, I've met other teachers and who just kind of rocked my world in different ways, some negative, some positive. But my moment would have to be being in Miss Nikki LaFleur's 2nd and 3rd grade classroom, because she followed me and she just made me the person who I am. Now, some of you had some questions for me to answer, and while I wish I could answer all of them, I was only able to pick 3. So, question number 1. What inspired you to pursue a leadership role in Educators Rising, and how has it shaped your view of education? Of course, I wanted to make a difference in education. I wanted to help out, and I just wanted to be that future teacher, kind of like the teacher I had. I wanted to be somebody's rock. And like Journey said, I want to go to graduation and scream out that that's my baby, that I was their teacher. And basically, pursuing this role in Educators Rising, it's also just showed me how much leadership and collaboration can impact on a school. Question number 2. What has been the most rewarding or challenging experience you had as a national officer? I'll tell you both. The most rewarding has definitely been meeting different people, like Journey said, the Secretary of Education for the nation, meeting up with different educators, meeting up with our CEO of Ed Rising, simply meeting up with my other national officers. It's just been amazing because once you get around people who truly have a passion for what you do, it's astonishing, honestly. And the biggest challenge would have to be trying to find a good time to meet up. I don't know if y'all remember, but Lexi's from Ohio, and so sometimes it's just a tad bit difficult, but nothing we can't handle. And last but not least, question number 3. How do you think Educators Rising can help future educators prepare for the evolving needs of students and schools? I think Educators Rising can help future educators prepare for the evolving needs of students and schools because Ed Rising provides hands-on experience that connect us with mentors who can help us stay current on the teaching trends and different challenges that we face in our field of education. And now I'm going to pass it on to Lexi, who's going to share her story.
Thanks, Shay. So my Ed Rising moment, I did not always know that I wanted to be a teacher. I didn't really realize it until I was in high school. But when I was first beginning high school, I was really going through a tough time. I had a lot of mental health struggles, and I was just fighting a personal battle every day. And at the time, I wasn't really planning on growing up. I didn't have a plan. There was nothing that I felt capable of, nothing that I felt really passionate about. So, 2 things really came into my life that really changed everything for me. And the first was a job as a lifeguard that led me to becoming a swim instructor. And once I became a swim instructor, I worked really hard with my students. I watched them grow. I realized that this was something that I was good at, working with kids. I, had a talent for it. And not just that, it was something that made me excited to wake up every day and just something to do every day that made a difference, not just in my kids' life, but in my life. I felt a real sense of pride in my students, and that sort of also meant a pride in myself because I had overcome something really big, and I had worked hard to get there. So that was the first thing. And then the second thing was my teaching professions class that led me to Ed Rising. My teacher, Miss Hildebrand, she never let me settle. She really saw something in me and pushed me to work hard, and pushed me to follow this career. She told me that I had something special, and that I should keep following it. So I feel really rewarded, thinking about a job that could potentially, save kids' lives, when the passion is really what saved mine. And now for some questions. The first question I got was, why did I want to become a national officer and continue with Educators Rising? So I was in Ohio State officer last year, and I just had so much fun planning the Ohio State conference. I really loved the people that I met. It was really special to me having a group of my peers who were really passionate about the same thing that I was. And we all had a similar story in education, and I just really loved that. And I knew that once I graduated, I would be leaving my Ed Rising chapter, and I didn't want that to be the end of it for me. I wanted to continue, on my own, even when I left my class. So that is why I decided to apply for national officer. And then the second question was, how did I become a national officer, and how did I get this position? So like I said, I was an Ohio State officer last year. So I had some experience planning a conference and working with professional educators and educators from the State Department. So that sort of was a natural transition to me when I wanted to continue leadership, after my term as an Ohio State officer was over. So I applied to be a national officer, and that involved some essays about my personal values, my teaching philosophy, and some issues in education. And then I also made a little campaign video, about myself, and then obviously I had a resume. And that is how I got my position. And then my third question is, what is my favorite Ed Rising memory? So this is a tough one. I have two. Last year, it was my senior year of high school, and again, Miss Hildebrand was a very special teacher to me. So when me, Miss Hildebrand, and like my best friends from my class just got to go to Washington, D.C., the first or second night that we were there, we did a walking tour of the monuments. And it was just so much fun, and it was so special to me having like one more night with my friends and my teacher that was so special to me after I had graduated. It was just like one last hurrah with my class. So that was really special to me. And then I would say my other favorite Ed Rising memory, like Journey brought up, we did go to Pittsburgh, I think a little bit ago. And it was just so much fun. It was great getting to be with my other officers and getting some team bonding time in. And then now I will pass it off to Shartavius.
Hi, my name is Shartavius Edwards. I'm your National Vice President of Service, as you may know. I'm here to share about my Educated Rising moment. My Educated Rising moment started in first grade. I was never really a good kid, I would say. I've had a troubled past before starting first grade, having half days, more stuff like that. Just like Shay, I don't know about her, but I had a stuttering problem bad. It was very bad. I took speech until fifth grade, and that was one of the things I really did not like about my kindergarten year. I had a teacher named Ms. Clark, and she inspired me for wanting to become a teacher. She followed me to second grade as well, and one thing I liked about her is she always cared. She always cared. I remember she taking a vacation and she brought back these shells and we could hear the ocean. And that is one of the most lovable memories I have about her in her first grade class. Fast forward to middle school, I fell out of becoming a teacher. Instead, I wanted to join the military. But when I went to high school, I learned that we had a Educators Rising chapter at my local high school. So I joined my 10th grade year because I couldn't in ninth grade because of COVID. But I joined in 10th grade and I fell in love with it ever since. It really has opened my abilities to work with other people and get my frights out, as you probably would know. So I have 3 questions. I had more, but only can answer 3. So question 1 is if and when you become an educator, what area of learning would you like to teach? Top of the line, I would love to teach 11th grade math. The reason why, because I really liked it in my 11th grade of high school, but I did not like English. So I like being hard on things I do not like so that I can better improve them. Question 2 is, what were some leadership positions you held before serving as a national officer? So in 10th grade, I served as a local representative for my grade level. And 11th grade, half my year, I served as state president. For the remainder of the year of my 12th grade year, I served as state president. 11th grade, I also served as my local vice president for my local chapter. So that were some things that I really enjoyed as state president and vice president. My third question is, what did you compete in a state or a national level before becoming an Educators Rising national officer? I've competed 3 years straight, 10th through 12th, and I've competed in ethical dilemma. I've always liked working in a team. I think working in a team is better for me. I like working by myself, but teams is better, just like how I have my national officers here with me. Better working with a team with me. But I've competed in ethical dilemma 3 times out of 3 years, won first place twice in state competitions, and placed 4th place nationally just this past year. We appreciate you so much for hearing what we have to say and what brought us here today. I'm going to kick it back to Journey to end our meeting for tonight.
I had an amazing time with you all tonight, sharing updates, interacting with one another, learning something new, and sharing our own stories. We hope tonight has empowered you to do the same with your chapter, and we can't wait to see you next time at our next virtual chapter meeting. Have a wonderful night and enjoy the rest of October. Stay warm, y'all. Goodbye.